Well, for more on the legal battle between privacy and security, I'm joined by entrepreneur and tech expert Eric Schiffer. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Nice to be with you, Rochelle.
Now, the FBI says this is a one-time specific request just for this phone. They're saying it doesn't require Apple to redesign its products, disable encryption, or even open content. Apple says, why should it be forced to create software that could potentially allow anyone to open someone else's iPhone? How slippery of a slope is this for Apple?
Well, I think it's a very slippery slope. I mean, as Jim had mentioned, this is a very old law that people are working under. But there's a bigger issue, which is the protection of the American people. And I think, frankly, Apple is allowing these terrorists like ISIS to really be able to plan what could be a terrible future event. And so I do believe that they've gone way too far. And why do they have the right to be able to decide America's security rights? And frankly, I think it's not fair. I think they are really, frankly, ripping off the security of the American people.
Now, with that being said, they are a private firm. Should they have to put their moral obligation ahead of their business interests?
Well, absolutely. When you're talking about the lives of free people anywhere around the world, I think that companies have an obligation, and that's part of the problem that I think the public have in general with corporations. In this case, absolutely. We're talking about innocent lives. We're talking about some really bad thugs, horrible people that need to be wiped out. And frankly, we shouldn't let them run free. They shouldn't have these enclaves. So we need to do more. Apple should do more. Otherwise, I really believe that if they don't, at some point, there will be a terrorist attack, and Apple will have the blood of dead Americans or global citizens on their hands.
But is that fair? Is that putting too much pressure on Apple? I mean, you have pressure from the FBI, you have pressure from privacy supporters, but what about consumers? How do we know how they feel about how Apple is proceeding?
Well, look, I think some consumers obviously are very pro-privacy. There's no question about it until there's a terrorist attack. And frankly, it's very likely that this could happen again. And so that's the concern. I think there are many people that want things to be safe. And right now, we're not safe if they can plan these things. And these things can be planned anywhere around the world. So we're really not just talking about America. We're talking about Europe. We're talking about Asia. And so we need to do more. And frankly, being able to give limited access with judicial oversight is not asking too much. It really isn't.
Now, that could be the case at this point. And they're saying, yes, this is the first case. It's just this phone. But you're also opening the door for anyone, hackers, people with good intentions, bad intentions. Is it worth opening those floodgates?
I'm losing you a little bit into the signal, but let me just say this. I can't hear you. What I could say is this. They are absolutely, in my opinion, able to do this without being able to open the floodgates to hackers. There are systems and ways to do this in a controlled fashion. And they're unique, but it can be done. No one's saying to open it up completely. We're talking about limited access, and in a way that keep things secure, it can be done.
Well, with that being said, though, usually everything starts with that one first step. So what could that mean perhaps for other big tech companies if Apple did decide to consent?
Well, I think it makes them obviously take a look at the leader and say, well, maybe we need to do more. Maybe we have a moral obligation to protect not only the citizens in the United States, but the citizens around the world. And I'm hoping that more will do it. But again, I'm talking about very limited types of access. We're not talking about wide-scale access. And so that's the difference here.
Now, let's say this attack was to have happened in a different country. How do you think the rules would differ?
Well, look, I think if this happened in other countries, let's take Russia, for instance, there is no way that they're going to let a private company be able to stop the security of the Russian people. And I think actually, in many ways, that's an intelligent move from a security standpoint. Even though I granted there are a lot of privacy people won't want to agree with that. I think in Asia, too, you have many governments and many countries that'll say, no way, we're not letting a private company be able to dictate our security, the security of our people. So it's in the United States, it's different right now. And I think the balance, frankly, needs to be examined in a smart way for the security of the American people.
Well, we'll have to leave it there. I'm sure a lot of people will continue to watch this closely. Tech expert Eric Schiffer there joining us. Thank you very much.